All right, what is up, everybody? John Schumacher here with New Wave Healthcare, the internet web show that brings you exciting and inspiring interviews from some of today's biggest health entrepreneurs. Every week, Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Are you a business-minded health professional looking for inspiration? Looking for that next marketing tip that can help you scale your business to the next level? Well, those are some of the very things we'll be talking about on this show every single week. Imagine having a mastermind group of successful health entrepreneurs that you can dial up at your fingertips anytime you want. You can get inspiration from, advice from, and targeted advice. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're looking to create here at New Wave Healthcare. So I'm really excited about this project. So let's go ahead and get started with our first interview today. Our first guest is Tom Delonzo-Baker. Tom is a physical therapist from Raleigh, North Carolina, who's built a tremendously successful and fun seminar business where he goes around the country and trains hundreds, if not thousands, of therapists in his unique style of physical therapy every single year. Tom also has a very successful physical therapy clinic in Raleigh, North Carolina, and has been online for over 5 years now. So we're really excited about that. If any of you are health professionals who are looking for ideas or ways to scale your business online, you're going to definitely want to stay tuned for this interview because our friend Tom here has a lot of experience when it comes to that. So, Tom, my friend, are you ready to ride the wave of healthcare innovation, my friend?
Let's do it. Come on, John. Sounds good.
Right. Sounds good. Well, let's just talk a little bit about you first. Give us a brief introduction about you and your current business.
All right, so John, let's see. I am, just as you said, in Raleigh, North Carolina. I have a small private practice that sees, it's a typical outpatient orthopedic place that sees, 70% spine, 30% everything else. And let's see, it's been 7, 8 years ago now, I started teaching seminars around the country. And from there, about 5, 6 years ago, beyond that, I started dabbling with the internet and trying to find out how I could get to more people and to help more people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about your seminar business. Like, what makes it unique amongst other seminar series? Because I know I've been to a ton myself. There's so many people pushing different services or ideas through these seminar businesses. What makes your service unique from some of the other physical therapy seminars out there?
John, what I'm really trying to push through is that total motion release is really the scientific method. And after teaching thousands of people, I've really not seen somebody doing the scientific method correctly. Because if they had been, when they go and watch my videos on the website, they wouldn't be surprised to see when somebody's right arm doesn't lift up, and we use the other side of the body, the exact same motion, to treat it, and it gets better. And again, that entire skill is done by the patient. Again, I don't even need, I do this at times through Skype. I can do it through Google Hangout like we're on now. So that's probably the most astonishing thing people see is that, wait a second, how in the world did he go to an area of the body that has nothing, quote, appearing to do with the injured side, and it gets better in 2 to 3 to 4 minutes. And when people see that, they begin to question, hey, what kind of technique is this? Is it how long will it last? What are the results for this condition and that condition? I try to tout over and over and over again. I've taken the scientific method. We do pre-testing. We do a treatment. We do a post-testing, and we're comparing it. And we're not afraid to go outside the area of injury. And when we started doing that, that's when things began changing. That's when we began seeing things that were so much faster than, remember, I didn't fall off the wagon like this or jump on the wagon just thinking like this. I too started the exact same place every single person does when they come to a seminar, just going, whoa, that did not just happen.
Yeah, and you definitely have a unique model there. When I first was exposed to total motion release, I was a little skeptical, like probably many people are, but when you start trying it, if you're just open-minded and you start trying it, the stuff really helps a lot of people, and it just makes sense because, our body is one unit, and you can't really separate the neck from the shoulder or even the lower body from the upper body, and I think that's really what I love about your product and why I think it's so amazing. So
Well, and one of the first things that people learn when they come is the theory behind it is the exact same theory of how a joint works. So, your joint has X, Y, Z axes, which I won't get into it very much, but, you can go anterior and posterior modes, you can go PA modes, you can do rotational modes. The exact same mechanics that you're using for any joint that you're using to treat can be applied full body wide. And as soon as you see that, you go, oh, this isn't different at all from what you've already learned. It's just that people have been majority of the time going into the direction of restriction, and we're going to just go into the direction, or not even just the direction, we're going to go into the other body areas that are easier to move.
right, sort of like strain counter strain a little bit there. So
A functional strain counter strain, exactly.
exactly, yeah. So I think that's pretty neat. So basically, your premise is that you train clinicians to assess patients with these movements. You have certain movements that you guys use, and then you actually train the patient to use them, sort of a self-reliancy type program. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, and a quick summary is that we say our job for the therapist is we're going to teach you how to teach patients how to fix themselves. Because we say there's two types of treatment that you can do. You can either be the one, let me take it back to this. A guy once asked me, hey man, how good are you at fixing your patients? I puffed myself up and I said, I've taken a ton of courses. I'm probably in the top 10% of clinicians around the country as far as my ability to get people better. And what he said next really just blew my mind and changed the entire way in which I now treat. And he said, well, Tom, how good are your patients at fixing themselves? And that changed everything. And I realized that there's two playing fields. You either play on the ball field of where you treat the patient, or you play on the ball field of where you teach your patients how to treat themselves. And when you have a technique like total motion release that works as fast, if not faster, than a typical technique, and the patient's doing it on themselves, it's a win-win situation.
Right. Yeah, and it absolutely works too. And we need more of that. We need more of people taking control of themselves, and your program's great for that. So what? Here's a question for you. I mean, you had this moment where you talked to me about it before, that you had this aha moment. What inspired you to really take this? Like you saw this work and you were kind of blown away. What really inspired you to actually build a business with this process that you discovered?
I don't know whether I came into the game wanting to necessarily build a business around it. All I remember is, I'm the guy that had the aha moment. I had a patient that went to do something, and I'll share a little bit, is that they couldn't take steps leading with their right leg, but they could do just fine leading with their left leg. And for whatever reason, I said, you know what, why don't we do a bunch more? Actually, it wasn't a bunch, it was like 3 sets of 15 on the good side. And she had 4 other problems going on at the same time. We took those steps on the good side, and her 3-year problem of having problems on the other side vanished like that. She laughed, I laughed, and I said, there's no way that just happened. And I remember looking off to the side saying, this is awesome. I want to be able to take this as inexpensively as possible to as many people as I possibly can. And initially, I didn't know what that meant, and I started off very, very small with a very small group of people in my area and said, will you come over and check this out? Because, I'm getting to this phenomenal success with it, and I'd love to see whether you guys can duplicate the same thing. And that's where it began, and it was kind of, how that sometimes those restaurants open up and maybe they're just a bakery that, sends out food, and all of a sudden somebody goes, hey, I want to sit down and eat here too, and slowly they open up tables, and they keep growing and growing like that. And that's what I did, is little bit at a time. I did a couple seminars a year, and then people were digging it, and I said, well, let me open this up. So, and I know we're going to talk more about that in a second, so I won't share all of that.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to go through your process that you did to create your current company and your current vision. So let's talk about this. Let's change gears and talk a little bit about fears. Like we all have fears as trailblazers and entrepreneurs to be different. Fear of criticism, fear of people not liking what we're doing, or whatever that might be. What were some of your early fears when you really realized that I'm going to really take this to a bigger scale?
Well, that's easy. I mean, oh my gosh, I got slammed. I remember on Rehab Edge, on that forum, they were saying, this looks like a big old infomercial. there's no research behind it yet. I don't think we should be following it. I used to send out emails, and I mean, I remember somebody on a board, a state board, said you need to remove the your PT from your name. I mean, you really got badgered and hit and whipped pretty hard. And the thing that I had to remember is that every time I touched a nerve on somebody, it always seemed like I touched another 5 or 10 people on the positive side. So the more reaction that I got from it, yes, I got negative, but a grander positive response I'd get. And so you're going to get that. I say to people all the time, do not stop something because of the fear of what somebody else might be saying. And they're going to say it. And you're all of a sudden going to hear it. And I remember, you kind of get defensive. I remember spending hours and hours on the message boards. And then one of the best ways, if you've got a product that works, share a little bit of it. I took and I did 3 videos, and I said, here's 3 exercises. Try them on yourself. If they work, come back and tell us. If they don't work, come back and tell us. And bam, the whole conversation stopped. I wish it didn't, but it did. And from that point on, I didn't get the bashing that I had. I had more questions about, has anybody heard about this? Can somebody share with me? I had one chiropractor get on YouTube and try to prove me wrong. He had just had shoulder surgery, and he goes, I'm going to show this doesn't work. And he was 6 weeks post, and he went and treated the opposite side, and his eyes popped open like, oh, well, so much for that. That just worked on my bad side. And he ended up being a big advocate of mine and calling me up and saying, how in the world does this work? And so along those lines, it's going through the fear that once you get beyond, you will learn so much from being harassed, criticized, and everything else. So it's not a negative thing, and people necessarily aren't doing it. They're doing it just because they don't know yet.
Sure, absolutely. I can't remember who said that, but I remember some kind of famous quote that said, if you're upsetting people, you're on the right track, in some way around there. You can't be coddling in a corner with your new idea. And I really admire the fact that you persevered in spite of all that. I think that shows a lot of courage on your part.
I have people several times that'll call me and ask me questions, and it's they get right to the final end, and maybe all of a sudden somebody put an obstacle up, a pretty big obstacle. John, I remember you and I just talked about one too, and it was like, whoa, and I try to calm people down and go, no, just keep going, just keep going. It's not as big as you think, and it's always right towards the end, or right when you're trying to say, okay, it's time, I'm going to go for it. Once you've made that commitment, a lot of stuff will hit you, and just keep plugging through, because at the end, it really is a much easier journey. It doesn't make it simple, but yet it's just like any other job or just any other. Well, I love what I do, so it's work. But as long as you've got a drive and a passion for it, just keep on going.
Right, and so tell us a little bit about that journey. What were some of your early challenges when you started your vision, started doing this, besides the fear? Like, what were some of the steps you were taking that you were running into walls, or you were finding challenges, and how did you overcome those or climb those walls?
Well, the first thing is getting your name out there. And at this point in time, people come and ask me those things. How did you get your name out there? How did you go about getting emails? And how did you go about learning the system to send out the emails? How did you learn to do the videos? And it became, it's not anything's impossible, but it all takes a lot of time. So I always say the most important part is you got to set up a timeline. You've got to set up a plan, because if you're like me in the beginning, it was like I would think of all 12 things I've got to do, and I'd be doing one of them thinking about the other 11, and it just prevented me from doing the first one too, because I was always thinking about everything. And I'd say, okay, look, I've got to progress one at a time and go from there. And a lot of times people will say, I've got the product, but they forget. I say it's more 80% marketing and 20% your product. Your product is what you love to do, but the marketing, you need to learn how to enjoy doing that, because that's your message. That's who you are. That's the delivery. That's the part that you need to have fun with. Learn a bunch. Learn about marketing. All right, and learn how to, you're going to have to learn a lot of programs. You're going to see John and I talking about this in a bit, about all the programs I've learned. And you can say, wow, where'd you find the time to do that? Well, you just work it in gradually. Remember, I've been doing this, well, I think it's 12 or 13 years the technique's been out, but I've been learning programs for at least 10 of those. For 2 or 3 years, I was perfecting this program of total motion release, but after that, it's all really about marketing and leadership.
Right, and we're going to talk a little bit more about those resources and your marketing here in a few minutes. But let's start into the process. Let's take our viewers on a little bit of a journey here. And you just got this idea, and you're starting to share it with a few people, and you're starting to get some good results, a lot of good results, a lot of positive, some naysayers, of course. But what were actually, from a business standpoint or something, the structural standpoint, what were the first steps you had to take to actually make this your own, make a business out of this?
So I'm going to speak into clinicians. Let's say I'll speak as if you're a physical therapist or even a personal trainer,
right,
or an athletic trainer. And I know you can do you have to do the exact same thing if you're a massage therapist or a chiropractor, and that is you have to pick your area that you're going to go out and teach to, right? And then each of those professions in most of those states require or have regulations that you need to be accredited somehow. Not all the states, but like if you're a personal trainer, you may say, who am I going to get accredited by? Is it going to be ACE? Is it going to be IDEA? There's other ones I'm going to mess up the initials if I say them. In physical therapy, it's every single state that you're going to go and get accredited by that need it. Not every state needs it. There's a wonderful thing, and I don't think I put it in. We need to put it in eventually at the bottom of the page. But there's a nationwide physical therapy board for trying to set up approvals and accreditation, which is F is in federal, S is in state, B is in board, physicaltherapy.com, fsbpt.org. Mm-hmm. And they are setting it up so that you can fill out one application, which is a doozy of one. But again, you have to fill out one, and then it's like $500 a year or something. And right now it covers about 15 or 18 states. It's only going to continue to do more and more and more. So that's the first thing, is that people need to take continuing ed. So get it for them. All right, make it easy for them. And then what I say to people after that is pick the state that you want to do it in. Stay small for a little bit, and then add each of those times a state at a time, or 2 or 3 states at a time. Right now, I say that in the sense of is if you're doing live seminars too. If you're just going to stay, internet-based, when you make sure you get as many emails as you possibly can. You go ahead and you get out there. You look on websites. You take emails off those websites. I know a lot of times they'll say, you're going to spam people, but you're in your own field. I've never had a problem with that. If I send my videos out to therapists and it was a, quote, cold email, maybe they asked to be asked off, but there's not a stink about it. Not a stink about it. It's spam because we all are wanting good quality continuing education. So I haven't necessarily found that to be a problem. John, that was 3 things. So that was find out your accrediting board. The other thing is make sure it's all about marketing, and then pick your states and gradually grow from there. And I think there was a 4th one about the timeline. Make sure you got your timeline going of when each of these are going to go into effect.
Okay, and then so definitely if you're a physical therapist watching this, that was worth the price of admission right there, is to get those tips and go to that resource, FBSP.
FSBPT, as in Federation of State Board of Physical Therapy.org. AOTA is also, that's occupational therapy. They're nationwide. Chiropractors and PTs are still pretty much state by state, but the FSBPT.org is trying to do something for us. Physical or personal trainers, relatively easy, because again, just go get an ACE certificate or ACE approval. A couple $100 there.
And then so you got your accreditation, and you're kind of piecing this together state by state, kind of taking little bites out, and I'm guessing you were expanding your seminars. This at this point was all in person, right? You weren't online yet. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And so what did you? So you're starting to build a little momentum, and so you got your accreditation. You're starting to scale your business somewhat. How did you take it from there? I think what were the next steps you took?
Well, once I decided on, I guess I decided about 8 or 9 or 10 states or something eventually, and then all of a sudden I said, all right, I've always kind of been into computers. I like the internet and stuff, and so I began exploring what can this do anything for me yet? And I went to like go-to meetings. I can't remember what the other ones were at the time. Go-to webinar, same company and stuff. And when I I tried to do a webinar, and if I raised my hand up, and had this speed that you guys can see now, it was like this, boom, 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 boom. Nothing synced up. It was a little bitty square in the corner. You could kind of do PowerPoints to somewhat of a degree. I mean, and then I remember they wanted to charge me $800 a month for high-speed internet, which isn't even as fast as what our internet is today. So that was quite a trip, but gradually over time, I mean, for John and I to be sitting here on Google Hangout, I am telling you right now, there is no better thing than Google Hangout to get your message out there. So take, if there's anything that you're watching and seeing below as far as this web page will have on it, Google Hangout is a beautiful system, and John's doing a great job of trying to bring us together to use this wonderful tool for us all to help each other.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the mission, definitely, is providing that inspiration and resources for other health professionals. So so you started, so you kind of skipped ahead, and it sounds like now, how many years ago was it when you started looking at the internet to kind of scale your business?
I really want to say it was 2008.
2008.
Okay, but it hasn't, it's been 3 years that I've been able to use, I think it's 3 years I've been able to use a system called Ustream, or sometimes there's another one called Livestream, in which you can get cameras and hook them up to a little motherboard, I'll call it, a video card board, and you can have a couple cameras on you, and you can start having people view what you're doing. And that's when I started doing lessons. Mm-hmm. I started doing hour-long webinars, and that's really when people became fascinated. But it was the exact same time, you started creating little videos, and I started putting them on. Well, YouTube I've been using almost within a year or two of coming out, probably a year or two of coming out. So YouTube was a big one. I always say YouTube's a great search engine. Get your videos as much as you possibly can on YouTube. It's funny to watch people that aren't even clinicians, responding to my techniques, and they'll write, tons and tons of stuff. And when you see all those people writing that stuff, it gives you support. It gives you like, oh wow, people really do want to listen to what I say.
Absolutely, and YouTube is such a huge resource. I think it's the second largest search engine, and if you're in healthcare, I mean, it's the perfect visual field, right? So if you're a trainer, you're a PT, or anything like that, it's just, you got to be on YouTube. It's just such a traffic source. It's crazy. So. And
you have to remember is that when you're building a website, right now, if you don't have a video on it, okay, you don't have to go and get all anxious about it and stuff, but try to lead to it. Take videos with your iPhone or something, or your camera of your patients in the clinic. Teach them little things here and there. Put them on your website. It makes it more dynamic. I know I was a teacher before this, and I said, it'd been so great as a teacher to be able to have multimedia presentation, which they'd read a little, maybe they'd view a little on a video, then they'd do a little work, then somebody show them the other thing, then you got 3 or 4 other people to show you the exact same thing, being described differently. It only cements things down and allows you to hear it in perhaps different ways. So, and it also, look, John and I are sitting here online. You get to see my personality. You get to see John's personality. You get to go, man, I like that guy, or man, I don't like that guy.
That's scary, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know what? And it takes away. Some people see my website in the beginning, right? And it'd be like, oh, this is infomercial. Look at all he's doing. But then they saw me, and they said, right, he's trying to be real. He's giving so much stuff away, and that's what you're trying to do here. And when that's given across, you're trying to give in abundance. All this stuff is out there, and now it's about we've got so much information. Now we've got to put it together in useful applications.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it sounds like you've done a pretty good job with your seminar series here, and I mean, what are you working on right now with it? Like, what are your visions, for the present, and then a little bit into the future? Like, what kind of success would you like to have with it?
Sure. No. So just over the last year, I've converted majority of my seminars into live online seminars. So they can come to my location live if they want to, but that's streamed at the exact same time I'm teaching the seminar. It's streamed live. Majority of my people now are doing my seminars online. I
Mm.
then have 3 or 4 other spots around the country that I'm doing it also, that there's no, it won't be streamed live at the same time. And with that, I'm thinking about maybe having little instructors at certain locations around the country, but I need to grow a little bit more than that, a little bit bigger before I do that. The big thing I'm developing right this second is I've got 219 videos shot. I'm putting every single bit of TMR together on lessons, and I think right to count, there's 26 lessons that I'll be offering to people. And the first 12 are the basic ones, and the ones that if a person gets through, and it takes on the same number of visits as a traditional therapy, let's just say between 10 and 15 visits, and they will have a technique that they can use for the rest of their lives. And the thing is that I've tested this stuff. I scientifically tested this stuff. And then when things don't work, we change it up, we tweak it up. And so my years of experience now are laid out there so that when you have a patient in front of you, you can get them online. They can watch 3 or 4 minutes of the video. They can then go do the treatment exercise. You're there in case they need help. But you can have a couple people there at once and have this high quality of care. So it changes the environment a little bit. You're so used to having one patient after another, after another, after another, after another, and you don't have a time to breathe because you're always communicating with them.
Right.
Well, what would it be like to have a little quiet where they're actually going away, they're learning a little bit. One person might be saying, "Hey, Tom, I need your help right now." The other two are working, and by the time they get done, number one, they enjoy the group incredibly. That's one of our fears. Oh my gosh, maybe will they only expect to have one-on-one? Our people love being around other people.
Mm.
All right, but they're still getting individualized care as far as they're each doing their own thing. So those are the big pictures. One is to enhance my online presence as seminars, and the other one is that what I just described is actually going to be a membership site so that every clinic that wants to do TMR, as let's say a certified clinic, will have these 26 lessons that they can have their patients view. And then they'll be able to actually sell those videos, the online program, so that they can actually make money, additional money, without having to go out and buy more equipment, without having to do all this other expenses. And I know this is getting a little long-winded, but the deal was when I started this, I'm a small practice. I want to be able to make money elsewhere too. And if I can help people do that without having to, spend $80,000 in equipment, we're not going to make you do any of that. We're going to give you a monthly fee as far as that goes. And then you can use that exact same process to sell to your patients. That's pretty cool. So.
Wow, I love that. Yeah, I love that vision there. It's everything seems to be streaming that way. I know trainers are absolutely all over that, and I think therapists will as well. I think there'll just be a better way to reach people, and you can do that, like you said, duplication of yourself. I mean, how many people are you going to reach now with that? It's just it's really powerful. So thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. Not a problem.
So now that you've been doing this, you said over 10 years now. Knowing what you know now, here's a good question: what would you do differently back in the beginning? So take Tom's brain today. What would you tell Tom of 10 years ago?
I probably wouldn't have gotten out there to so many states because I was doing 34 seminars a year and stuff. And not that wasn't fun. It was just I would have probably hashed out, like say I'm from North Carolina, I would have tried to do maybe 3 seminars and really target. I probably would have sent out maybe some more postcards then because the internet wasn't too giant then. But I would have targeted one area and really tried to hit them a bunch. Nowadays I would take it and I'd look up North Carolina. I'd try to look up every website that had to do with, let's say it was anybody dealing with pain. I try to get as many of those emails as I possibly could. And I just have this little nest egg right there, all right? And from there, it's just less stressful than thinking the whole United States, right? Because then what you do is you be able to get, it's all about processes. All right. So then you get to get down. How is it I get my emails out? How is it that I write the email? How is it that I respond back to them? How is it that I do X, 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 Y, Z? And applying for one state approval or application is so much easier than applying for 50 of them. And so I say, just do a little bit at a time. Expect the first year to be a little slower, at least maybe the first 6 months. Get your systems down. And if you can, track statistics. How many emails did you send out? How many postcards did you send out? What was the response rate? How many views did you get? Now, when I say all these things, these are all done by email programs now. All right, these are all kind of done for you. How many emails came back? How many people called? How many people purchased? And then you get an idea, and you go, wow, okay, from sending out 1,000 emails, I got 4 people to purchase. Okay, well, now I know that I need to have 10,000 emails if I want to get 40 people to purchase or something like that. Or I have to send out 1,000 10 times. It really does start making, it really is, it's not random chaos about marketing. It really does follow a pattern. The same exact pattern that I teach in TMR, which is a scientific method, which is really pre-test, do something, post-test, and compare it to something else.
Right. So you would say that you need to scale a little slower and really get your systems in place before you start going in too many different directions early on.
Systems, yeah, exactly. Get your processes, your procedures on how you're going to do them. If you're going to bring other people on board, I only have one other person, but I create how-to videos so that I can push things off my plate, because you're going to go in there as if you're teaching seminars or teaching something to somebody, you're going to be the person doing the seminars, the webinars, you're going to be the person creating the website, you're going to be the person sending out reminders, you're going to be creating the emails that go out. That's a lot, but it's not in the beginning if you keep it small.
So do you use a virtual assistant or anything like that currently?
Yeah, so I've got one virtual assistant that I initially got the contact from a thing called freelancer.com. And there's other ones out there. And John, I'm going to make this on my paper so I can remind you. And there's other ones out there. There's Odesk,
right?
Guru.com. It just saved me a lot of money, and they do a great job. And I've been successful with them. I've been unsuccessful with some, but I've found some good ones that I use pretty much now. Okay.
So yeah, that's a perfect segue. Let's talk a little bit about some of your favorite resources now that you use to help your business. You mentioned email. I linked several of these resources. You kind of gave me a little bit of a heads up below this page. So if anybody's watching this wants to check those out, you can just click the link and see if it's a fit for you. But let's start. I don't think I put an email responder down there, but what email responder are you using now?
And I don't think it's a user-friendly one now if you're just starting off. I think what you want to do, so I use Constant Contact. It doesn't seem to integrate with a lot of things. It seems like iContact does, MailChimp, I think Aweber does. I think there's a couple other ones. But right now, one that I'm using more so is MailChimp.com. They even give you 2,000 free emails. Spots that you can put emails on. You can send out like 12,000 emails a month, which is really good. It might even be a week, I'm not sure. I think it's a month. But before that, you need some sort of software program in which you can edit videos. You got to be shooting videos. Right. And the one that I've found to be, quote, the cheapest and the most user-friendly, if you're on a PC or a Mac, they have the version, is Camtasia.
Right.
And if you have a Mac, and that's about $2.99. So that is an expense. If you're just starting off and not expecting to have that. But if you have a Mac, ScreenFlow is only $99. Now you can get on the line, you can look up, and you can find ones that are free. But what happens is they take up so much space, and they condense down, and the video quality just doesn't seem to be that good. Or it's going to cost you. You're going to take this video, and all of a sudden it's 10 gigabytes or something like that. Whoa, I wasn't expecting it to be so big. And it takes you 5 hours to render it. And render means to take it from your computer so that you can put it up to YouTube and things like that.
Right. So yeah, Camtasia I think is $2.99, and that's what I use for my YouTube videos now. And it works great. It's easy to use. And then ScreenFlow I've not used, but I've heard good things about it for Mac users. So so share a few others too, because like you said, we got to be on video. I mean, video is not the future; it's the now. You know, if you're not jumping on that as a health professional, you're going to be in the dust. You know, so share with us a few other resources you use. I think you shared with me a couple around video that you'd like to talk about.
So let me step you through on what each of them are for.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not completely, when you go to look these things up. Obviously, we're on Google Hangouts.
Yes.
You need to go look. There's enough stuff on YouTube about how to use Google Hangouts. So you can take a half hour and learn how to use this. At least, as I say, enough to be dangerous with, and you'll learn it as you go along. John and I, you might say, "Oh, this is great, it's coming across wonderful." Well, we've done enough trials and done them with other people to know how to do them, at least the level that you're seeing right now. You've got Ustream, a little bit more elaborate. You kind of got a little bit more about video, so I don't necessarily. Actually, you don't. It's higher quality oftentimes as far as getting certain parts out there. But I say that after, before Google Hangouts came out. But it does allow you to use, Ustream allows you to use different cameras besides your webcam.
Mm.
From there, I'm going to jump around a little bit here, is that you guys probably should be using Google Docs. Google Docs, to me, I know it's not HIPAA compliant, so I don't use it necessarily for my patients, but I use that to upload PDFs that I want my people to use, any manuals that I want them to use, because it allows me to just send them a link and they can use them, that they can load them up. I can even send videos over there that way if I want to. So you got Google that does a lot of great things for you. As far as, I'm going to jump just for a second to learning how to take videos. There's probably the best one that I've seen, and it's just come out, is one called videogenesis.com. All right, and I think you've got that on the website, right?
Yeah, I linked that below. That was something new to me actually today, so I'd like to hear this too. What is it?
Well, it's Andy Jenkins and Mike Filsame. I may be saying their names totally wrong. I apologize if I did. But it's only, it shows you even how to shoot a great video with your iPhone. Mm-hmm. And it's $247. Those type of people, that high-end caliber of people, don't do stuff for $247. So when they came out with this, I jumped at it. I was like, you're kidding me. So
what do you use it for?
It's in tutorials, it's instructions. So it's how to shoot, what to shoot with, how to do it cheaply, how to do it expensively. It is such an elaborate essence. And behind the scenes, they have all these bonuses and stuff. And just getting on their list, they are so up and coming. They've got an entire tutorial on Google Hangouts, how to make it the best thing there is. And they are always pushing other products simply because they really are on the forefront of a lot of what's happening in the internet. And it's two people for that, but then all their buddies are getting together and stuff too. So it's a great, let's just say, a library of what to keep up with.
So it's basically
there's another one. What's that?
A how-to manual on how to create videos, basically. Is what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Google Hangouts and anything to do with videos.
Right. Yeah, I've been. I have to look into that. I'll be honest. I joined the Real Marketing Insider, which is James Wedmore. I've enjoyed that, but I'll have to check into your guys definitely. I just learned about that today, so thanks.
Real Marketing. What did you say? Insiders?
Real Marketing Insider. It's
I'll have to look at that.
Similar school for video creation, but a must for any health professional online. I mean, they got to learn how to shoot videos, man. Imagine where this is going to be in 10 years or 5 years.
You don't need anything professional anymore. That's what's so great. You can take a $99 webcam and stuff and do things. The webcam I'm using right now, I can put on a tripod and use it. And it was $79, I think. Well, maybe that one was $129. I'm not sure. and I don't want to overwhelm with some of this stuff. So use it. Learn one thing. Learn the videos. Start shooting some videos. Load them up to YouTube. Learn how to load those things up to YouTube. From there, I'm going to give you a couple kind of neat things, but I want to give you a website where I got most of the stuff from. So there's think about, why am I going blank on, what is the website that does daily deals?
AppSumo.
No, 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 that's the one I was going to give him. But what's the one that every day you get in your email all the time?
Groupon?
Groupon, yes. Think of it as a techie Groupon, but it's for tech products.
Yeah.
It's AppSumo, AppSumo.com, and he will keep you up to date on the latest and greatest things. And you know, I bought some of their things and haven't used them, but I was so fascinated with them, but I wanted to have them on the background or on my back burner for when it was time for me to use them. So I've got some cool products from there, and let me tell you, they go dirt cheap when they're offered through AppSumo. For example, there's a video where let's say you go, you know what, I don't have time to create a video like this, but I'd like people to have an interactive part. On the bottom page of my websites, tmrseminars.com or totalmotionrelease.com, all the same thing. There's a Powtoon, Powtoon.com. You got to see the videos, or you got to see what they're doing. You've seen these on other websites,
yep.
But you got to see them in order to know what I'm talking about.
And they're so engaging too. I mean, the animated videos, the scribe videos, I think they call them, is just, you're just like, wow. It's just, you're mesmerized by the movements versus just like somebody talking to you. I think that's going away, and it's going to be all. I think the animation stuff is amazing.
Yeah, and what they say about the animation, which I learned from watching their stuff, is that, you know, somebody might be looking right now and be going, man, I don't like the looks of that guy. What the heck's that picture in the background? Man, it's crooked and stuff like that. And all this other talk is happening. But when it's a cartoon or an animation, all that extra talk disappears.
Right.
That's what was fascinating. So they engage more with it. So that's why when you see these websites that all of a sudden have little cartoon dudes instructing you on how this thing works, it's because you are now engaged, and all your little brainiac thinking and little demons in voices in your head aren't activated. Which I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I think it's brilliant, you know. And you can think of all the movements and transitions you can have within a cartoon versus like real life. I mean, it's amazing. It just keeps people so engaged, you know. I think thanks for sharing that. Powtoon is pretty cool, definitely. So, what else you got, Tom?
The other thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
The other thing that I found, I was always fascinated. Well, how in the heck are these people making books? Things that look like books or DVDs. You know that they're just going to be ebooks, right? So how are they making this picture look like, hey, here's the cover and this book? I go, this must take forever. In fact, wow, I guess it was 5 years ago it was 7 or 8 years ago when I was making a book and I needed a cover. I had to get a guy to do this for me, and it was a very long, tedious process. There is something called Box Shot King. Box is B-O-X shot, S-H-O-T, King, King.com. They will take any picture, any visual that you want, and it'll make it look like a professional book. It'll make it look like a spiral notebook. There's like 44 templates to do that with. So you can begin adding certain things to your website and go, oh, look, he's got a book, which is much more attractive than a one-page, two-dimensional PDF cover sheet or something.
Right, right. Sounds cool. Sounds good. So, do you have any other resources to share? Or
so this is the extensive ones, because most of us are not maybe website literate.
That's me.
And there are things called Wiz.com, W-I-Z.com, which is, you know, you can go out there and make your own website, and it's really quite easy. You might have to pay extra for a shopping cart. Great way to do things. There's easy, simple ones like that. They're not as powerful as WordPress. It took me, and I wish I'd done WordPress when I began. There are websites, there are WordPress tutorials that cost you nothing or a whole $47. I suggest if you're going to build a website, or if you got one, and you're going to continue on, be in control. I found it a lot more better in the beginning because I can have more control, and then I can give it away to somebody. But WordPress.com, bar none, and the two biggest things that I've found to deliver a great-looking website is Optimize Press 2.0. Some of you may already have Optimize Press 1.0. It's nothing in comparison to 2.0. It's simple, it's easy. Take you, I don't know, half a day to learn how to do. There's lots of shopping carts you can use, etc. You can use PayPal and set it up. But the one thing, if you're going to do a membership site, there are a lot of neat ones out there. I have used Wishlist. I've used DAP, which is digitalaccesspass.com. They were very powerful, but weren't user-friendly. I'm not smart enough to do all this training. I do try to do as little training as I possibly can, tutorials when I can. I found MemberMouse, as in member and then the little creature mouse.com, to be the simplest. They got videos on everything. The videos are sitting right there when you need them. And so those are probably the biggest ones. And the last thing I got to share, John, is that if you're trying to send out emails and you're going to try to send out a bunch of them, and you don't have Constant Contact or MailChimp because they didn't let you upload a big list, there's something called ScreenBlaster.com. John didn't add that to your list, and you need to. ScreenBlaster.com is about $129. Most of the time when I share what I've shared here, I have saved people at least 100 hours of time with things like Screen Blaster. When you get FSBPT if you're a PT, and when you're starting things out.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. I appreciate all those resources. And like you said, it seems like things are, they are getting easier for all of us. You know, all of us who are afraid of technology, there are these services like you just shared with us that can make it so much easier. There is still a learning curve a little bit, but it's not what it used to be. And so don't be afraid of technology. You do have to learn some. There's definitely some work, but it's getting more inexpensive and easier for you to take your vision as a health professional and put it out to the world. So I think that was sort of
every question you could ever ask is sitting out there in YouTube.
Right.
It's easier to look things up because, again, if you want to learn how to do something, right, you usually want a visual of it. So Google it on YouTube first. In fact, when my employees say, Tom, how do you do this on Excel? I'll say, because again, this is my time too. You know, don't interject it to my time because it's your job. Go to YouTube, check it out. If you still can't find it, then maybe I can, help you out with it if I know something about it. But chances are YouTube's going to know much more than I do about it. So
YouTube is all-knowing, definitely. So let's go to marketing a little bit, Tom. Let's maybe in 5 minutes or so you could share how do you go about spreading your vision? Like, how do you go about sharing that with everybody? What is your marketing strategy right now?
You've got to choose. Are you going to send out a bunch of postcards? Are you going to send out a bunch of emails? You're going to do a little bit of both or a lot of both. And I've chosen to stay with emails. I am probably one of your old timers as far as it goes for emails. I'm not as much into Facebook. Yes, do I have a presence on it? Or Twitter and those kind of things. I'm not there in that. I had to choose one thing just for the sake of time on it. And I chose to do emails, and so when I do that, I mean, we're talking labor intensive, and that's why I get a guy from the Philippines or an assistant from the Philippines or India, and they scrape websites. I mean, they go in and they're looking at websites that are physical therapists and getting emails and stuff, and they'll get the website and then they'll physically go through and see if there's anybody's email on there. And there's times that there's 10 to 20 of them on a website, and before you know it, you'll have 200 names. You might go, that's not very many, but see if you're targeting, hey, I'm going to do North Carolina first. Okay, just have your guy do North Carolina. Mm-hmm. You'll begin seeing like, ooh, this is kind of neat. Right? And you build from there, a little bit at a time. You get up to 1,000, you up to around 10,000, you're really rocking it. But you're going to notice it. I mean, there's times you can get on odesk.com and say, I need, 5,000 or 10,000 PT names. Some of them are going to be junk, but at least you can get out there and begin starting how to find them. I mean, that's of 8 years I've been doing that. That is the most time intensive and easy to do. Just takes a lot of time.
Right. So you focus mainly on email marketing, then that building your list, your email list is your number one by far, huh?
Exclusively. And then I just email. One of the things I do is I think I'm going to try to send out 2 to 3 educational pieces, which include video, all right? Then maybe a schedule, and maybe a schedule's on that video too. Here's my TMR schedule. But then I'm going to do an offering, such as, hey, it's $5.95 to do a seminar. It's $9.95 to do a package. So I do 2 to 3 educational pieces to one, buy this.
Right. giving value on the front end versus just always pounding people with requests is got to be big, right? So.
Correct. Now, the one thing I will say, and I've been guilty of it, is that we're all in the past been about, you give a great headline, and then from those headlines, it looks like, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they just keep talking to you like going, seriously? I mean, everybody's talking about how great they are, so it must be everything is great. And that, you're going to find out that people are really trying to be real now. They're trying to say, wait, enough of that. Yep. You know what? Why don't you compare yourself to something? Give me the things that what it'll work with, what it won't work with, and let me decipher what I need to do from there. And so that's much better than, this is the greatest things ever. Here's 18 bonuses. So.
Right. I think authenticity is making a comeback on the online world because otherwise you're not going to get noticed. There's just too much noise. So.
Right.
Cool, Tom. Thank you so much. Let's do. We got about maybe 10 minutes. We're getting a little long here, longer than normal. But let's just go through this real quick. I'd like to do a little bit of a speed round with you and just ask you a quick question, and you come up with a short answer, and we'll rock through these and we'll finish up. So let me start with the first question: is what's your biggest mistake that you made during this process?
Well, the biggest mistake I keep sharing to you guys: go small, then big. I wish I'd done it, and I wish I'd gotten my processes down, because I'm still to this day trying to get those net down. At the meantime, handling everything else too.
Right. Okay. What is let's see, what is one book you'd recommend for our listeners today?
Oh, John, I told you that one before, and I totally go blank right this second.
I think it wasn't it The 4-Hour Workweek? I think that was your favorite book, right?
It's not actually one of my first books I read. It was Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek, which got me into seeing things as things that I could give away to another person. Because a lot of times as owners or as people starting something, you think you can do everything by yourself, or, oh, you know what, I better just do it myself because it'll be faster. And it's really not. He got me thinking about outsourcing. He got me thinking more in the mentality of that. And then there's other books I like Blink, two brothers, I forget what their names are. So, anyways, no, that was Stick, wasn't it? I don't know what it was. Go on. Next question.
Next question is, what's your favorite success quote? What is your favorite quote? If you could share with us a success quote.
Oh well, John, now I got to go to my email, right? What is it that I have on my email? The purpose of life is to find your gift. The meaning of life is to give it away.
I like that.
So I think I like yours too, where it says your life only gets better when you get better. And,
right.
It probably only gets better even more when others get better around you. And I think that's what you're trying to do, John. Is you live in that quote, and then on the side of that, you're trying to get other people better, which just is such a more rewarding feeling.
Yeah, I like what Zig Ziglar has said. If you help enough people get what they want, you can get everything you want, and that's, I think, an important quote for everybody to remember.
Now that you said it, the other book that I liked was Seth Godin, and it was called Tribes, and it was saying, look, don't try to hit everybody. Hit 1,000 people that you deal with in your lifetime, and make those 1,000 people happy. And not all 1,000 are going to buy, but those people are going to send referrals to you, and focus on 1,000, not on 8 billion.
Right.
6.
What's one piece of advice you would give a newer health entrepreneur?
Well, I think I've given that one over and over, and that's about plan it out, project it out, get the processes down, give the stuff away then to other people. I mean, when I say give your work away to other people, you're the visionary. You need to have space to continue to do that. It gets frustrating otherwise.
Right. And where do you see healthcare? What do you think is one of the biggest changes coming to healthcare, the healthcare industry? What do you think?
We're going to have to, I think I sit pretty well that we're going to have to be able to turn things over to patients and teach them things.
Right.
I think that obviously the money's only going to get less and less. Total emotion release sits in a place that if all of a sudden all I got was a person's copay, and they allowed me to see the number that I can see, and they just step away and say, hey, look, we're going to pay you this amount, and however the heck you get them better, just show that you're progressing them. and we'll do great with total motion release. I think the framework that we're set up traditionally as therapists, we might be in trouble that way, one after another after another. Where I think personal trainers are really starting to venture into the realm of rehab, and I think they're starting to do a good job on it because they're business minded. So I say we got to get as good business minded as chiropractors and personal trainers. A lot of the personal trainers that are out there, and massage therapists.
Yeah. Yeah, yep, definitely. So, and it seems like it's going that way too. I mean, we're just with physical therapy, we have so many rules and regulations that it sort of holds us back from like a free-minded, business-minded trainer or a chiropractor. So, I'm hopeful that the legislators will see that as an opportunity to make this all more efficient. At the same time looking out for people's best interests too.
We'll share something. John and I both are looking at. We think it's a wonderful opportunity. I'm in North Carolina. We should be treating patients online in your state. Make sure that you have a HIPAA compliant video system or something. Skype doesn't. In the telehealth is very broad as far as what it covers, and there's not a lot of regulations out, which is in many ways a good thing. But yeah, I'm even thinking about that within my clinic. Is just let's get people online that they can't come in. Hey, I'm at work. I'm at home. Hey, all right. Well, I'm going to use the word Skype just because everybody knows it. Let's Skype and I'll treat you.
All right. Right. Awesome, my friend. Well, tell us a little bit about where our listeners can find out more about you, and then we'll say goodbye.
All right. Well, again, right underneath the little tagline you see, it says totalmotionrelease.com. That's where to find it out. That's where to even get the very first lesson for free. And I try to keep the website fresh and provide you. Please put your email in somewhere so that I can continue to send you things, and I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy the stuff that I give you as much as you'll enjoy what John has here coming over the next year.
Oh yeah, it's going to be coming. So, thank you so much, my friend, for your time and your inspiration and the content-rich stories you had shared and resources. We appreciate that very much here. So.
Excellent. Look forward to seeing the rest of the people on here.
All right, sounds good. So everybody, as always, we're going to have this interview archived on the newwavehealthcare.com/interviews page. We'll also have this converted to audio if you prefer to listen onto your iPhone or in your car on the go. We'll also have all the resources that were talked about here below the interview on that page. And we'll have all that for you every week. We'll be doing that. We'll be archiving our interviews. So definitely look at the newwavehealthcare.com website to check out those. Our next interview will be October 21st, Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And our next guest will be talking a lot about how to get clients, particularly how to get physical clients. He calls it butts in the seat. If you're a massage therapist, doctor, physical therapist, anybody who would like to work with more physical clients, this is definitely going to be a show you're going to want to check out. I'll be sending out a opt-in or a registration page for that talk probably Wednesday or so, middle of the week. So keep an eye out for that. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you next Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great day.